grow their business, create some success. And the question is how? There are so many options out there, so many different ways that we can do that. What do we do? So I'm super excited today to be joined. Welcome, Steve.
Hello.
Hello. Steve's going to share with us a little bit today about the 3 smartest way to grow your business. Now, before we get into what you're going to share with us, Steve, why is it so important for us to be focused?
Yeah. So the thing that I hear from when I take on new clients the most is that they tell me everything they think that they're doing really well. And so they're like, I've got, Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and, Threads and everything that's new they're in, but they're not doing one of those things really well. They're just kind of spread out all over the place. And so what I wind up doing with them is kind of editing down what they're working on so that they can manage it and manage it well, so that even though they've only got 3 things that they're working on, they're doing it well. And that's what's driving traffic to their website and keeping them busy enough to add content without getting overwhelmed.
Because there are so many platforms out there. And it's funny you mentioned Threads, because I don't think I've heard about Threads in like 2 weeks. Like, it came out, everybody ran
Very
to
quiet.
thing, and then that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's, well, I saw that they are working on a desktop version of it, which I think is smart. I don't know, some people love it, but to me, it's just Twitter again. It really is.
It'll be interesting. And maybe it's just in my world, I just haven't been hearing as much about it, but it's like, here's something new. What are you going to do? Sometimes they last. I mean, Instagram came on and they stayed. Google, was it Google Plus that
Google
just
Plus
did
did
not
not
do
hack it. Google has not done well with social media.
Maybe there's something to be said about find your lane and stick in it.
Well, correct. You remember Apple a few years ago tried something. They were attaching it to like the music app, and it just didn't go anywhere. They just shut it down.
You never know. Well, I'm glad to have you here, Steve. For those of y'all watching us, if you have questions and comments, we do love to hear from you. So we will throw that up there. Just put your name in the comment. We would like to hear from you. And let me tell you a little bit about Steve. So he's the owner of Tannuzzo Creative, specializing in copywriting and organic CEO. So SEO. See, I'm thinking, yeah, and I'm reading it on my little sheet, but
I'm the CEO of SEO.
Organic, not paid SEO.
Right.
So he's been in business for 14 years and loves helping business owners get found and get customers from their website, Google Business Profile, and LinkedIn. Steve is also the Global Communications Coordinator for BNI. He lives in Massachusetts, loves reading and watching baseball, and he has 2 rescue dogs. I've got 2 rescue dogs too.
Yay.
So I'm curious, what are you currently reading?
So I just finished a book called Whale Fall by, what's his name? Last name Krause is the author. And he, it's this amazing story about this teenager who is kind of trying to get his father's remains at the bottom of the ocean. It's a very kind of sad story, but what happens is he sees this squid that's kind of coming towards him, and then he sees this whale that's going to eat the squid and winds up eating him as well. So he's stuck inside this whale, and he's only got an hour of breathing time left to get out. It is fascinating. It's like the ultimate summer read.
Wow, interesting. I've not heard of that. It does sound very...
Daniel Krause, that's his name.
Huh. Okay, I think I've heard of him. Yeah. All right. So we're here. Talk to us a little bit about, I know we said it's not necessarily the 3 smartest ways to grow your business, but 3 ways that we can grow our business.
Yeah, I would say the smartest way, if you're an entrepreneur who's not in marketing, but you wear a million hats as an entrepreneur and you have to do some marketing, the best way to do it is to use this kind of rule of 3 that I go with, as we talked before. And one of the things that I find with my clients is they're doing too many things and they're so spread out that they're giving up. They're completely forgotten that they had stuff going on, and it just really brings the business down rather than focusing on getting it noticed and getting people to interact with you. Because, if you post, 1 post on Facebook every month, it's like nothing, right? It's like nothing's happening. And if you stop posting on another site, people think you went out of business. So it's why it's so important to really focus. So the three things that I focus on are: one, you have to have a good optimized website. That's number one, right? Number two.
Wait, before we do that.
Oh, okay.
If we can.
Yep.
What do you mean? And I know you're probably going to come back to
Sure.
this.
Yeah.
All right, do you want me to? I'll just let you give you the three, and then we can go into.
Yeah. We'll dig into them. But so the website is one. Two is a Google business profile. This, I don't think I can really emphasize enough how important a good, fully filled out Google business profile is. And that, by the way, used to be called Google My Business. It's the same thing. They just changed the name.
Yeah.
And the third is one, for starters, one social media platform. I don't care which one it is. LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, whatever you like. We'll start with that and then, move on from there. But so important just to focus on those three things, because those three things, if you look like in terms of tiers, if you got three boxes at the top, there's a little line and then little boxes down below everything else, right? Your website's going to need a blog. You're going to have to update, every so often. So it's really important to focus on that stuff. You may want to get something like Yoast or one of those other SEO plugins that work with your WordPress website or other websites to make sure that it's working. So there's a lot involved in those three things. And that's why I think when I explain that to clients, they're like, oh, it is a lot. Yeah, it is. Marketing is not easy.
It's a lot, though. It's not a ton.
Correct.
But you're right. They've got moving components that go along with them for sure. Definitely. So talk to us a little bit about what you mean by optimized website. Okay. Sometimes I forget because I was in the marketing world. Like I have a marketing degree and I had a marketing company for promotional products, and I kind of do marketing in a way. My last book was about marketing. So sometimes I forget that some people watching this, they may not know what SEO is. Right. Not CEOs, SEOs, and how you get that organic reach. So can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So it is very important, and it's worth your time to learn the very, very basics of SEO, search engine optimization, right? So the point of it is to get the search engines, primarily Google, because that's like, 80% of search engines, but also Bing and all the other ones that are out there, to notice your website. And the way that they notice that is if you do all the things, all the little things, to make sure that the bots that are crawling Google are going to say, hey, this is a website worth working with or working or promoting and pushing up the list, right? So I can kind of go into it a little bit. I've got a few tips I can give.
Yeah, give us a couple tips.
In terms of SEO. So there's something called a title tag and a meta description. Those are the things when you go to Google and you look up something, it'll have the name of the website, and below it'll have that like one line of text about like, call this place, it's the number one or whatever. Yeah. So you want to fill out all that stuff. Super, super important. Heading tags, H1 and H2, you may have heard of these things, right? All the way down to like H8. That is the prominence of your title. So your main title should always have, and this is super important, the keyword that your page is trying to get noticed for should be in that H1, that first big title tag, right at the top. And then everything else below it is an H2 or below.
Did you mention keywords and what those are yet?
Yeah. So well, we talked about having keywords, and you can go to a few different places to, Google has their own platform for it. Just look up, keyword search. You can even, those of you who use AI, I will tell you, I know you're an AI fan. You can go to ChatGPT and ask for keywords for a certain business. They're going to break it down for you in a pretty good way, a serviceable, workable way. It may not be as accurate as something like, SEMrush or, one of those other big important tools, but you can get the basics. Again, if you're doing this on a budget, have ChatGPT give you some keywords. It's better than thinking about it yourself. They'll give you a more robust response. It really is pretty impressive.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah. So there's that. The second thing that I would recommend are internal links. So linking from one page of your website to another, and not just the contact page, which a lot of people do, and that's important.
Right.
But if you're talking about one of your services on the homepage, link to it so that it jumps to that other page. So this is sending a signal to Google that says this is an optimized page, and they know what they're talking about. And so what's important to do is to use what's called anchor text. So you may have seen a lot of times the words click here is the anchor text. That's not great. Click here is not going to do anything for you. But if you use a good keyword that you're using, so if I'm offering copywriting on my services page and I'm on the home page, I'm going to link the word copywriting to my copywriting page, right? Or I may want to link something to an important blog post that I did, right? So that brings me to the next point, and that is start blogging today. So important. Every blog that you post, no matter the length, is another page on your website. Now, it's not as strong as a regular page. It's a post page, but if you're looking for, if you have additional keywords that you want to do for little smaller services that people can find you for, blog about those things. Very, very important to do.
Yeah, I was just thinking as you were talking about those internal links, I'm thinking about like my blog page, and I've called it articles. So you can tell me if that's good or bad, because I didn't want it to have to be consistent. So I was like, articles is different. Blog, I think of consistency. However,
none of that matters. That's all good.
Okay.
All fine. Yeah.
But like I think about my blog because it'll do like a little bit, a sentence or a paragraph or two, and then you have to click for the rest of it. So I guess that's really, I never even thought, I thought about the fresh content from the blog, but I didn't think about those internal links for people to clicking on to see more.
That is a big difference maker. Because what happens is when Google starts trolling your site and figuring out whether it's a legit site, one of the things it looks for are those internal links and says, all right, is this matching to this page? Very important. One thing that you should never do, by the way, is use the same, when we talked, the first thing I talked about was like that meta description, is not to copy and paste it from one page to the next, even though you're trying to say, listen, this is what I do. So I want it everywhere, because sometimes when Google finds two of the same pages, they will not index either one of them. They'll kind of cancel each other out. So even if it's a slight variation, it is important to change that up for each page that you do.
Gotcha. That makes sense. And while we're stopping for just a second, we did have Tom Fleming coming. Hey, Tom Fleming. Looking good, Steve. I love top 3 things. Provides with some focus. And yes, Tom. So I teach referral marketing. Yeah. So that's why I'm still in it, in that avenue for sure.
Marketing is marketing.
Yes, it is. And I don't think people think about that sometimes. I'm like, referrals and networking is part of your marketing.
No doubt about it.
It's a slightly different conversation than what we're talking about today.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the things that I always talk about is, you know, when you're at your BNI meeting, you're at work. You're not doing something and then going to work. You're already there marketing your business.
For sure. Yeah. It's work.
Yeah.
Network.
Yeah. Exactly.
Do we have anything else on the web pages you wanted to talk to us about?
I think we're good on that. What I would just say is it is important to review your web pages if you haven't in a long time. Your services may have changed. You may have added services, so you may have to edit or update. The more you update your site, the more fresh it feels to Google, and the better off you'll be in terms of your search engine rankings.
So before we move on from websites, because those are some really great tips, I talk to website developers all the time, and one of their biggest challenges is often we need the people from the company to give us the content to put on the website.
Yes.
Because what I have found is the majority of website designers are not going to help with the written word part of it. So I know as a copywriter, you wanted to share a little bit about some tips on that and or how you can help companies.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because a lot of times I am the last person to get the call. Right? We've built this beautiful site that just needs words around it. And typically, in an ideal scenario, it's the other way around.
I was going to say that's backwards.
The other way around, because even the web designers prefer that because they know what to build. They're just saying, well, here's something, I guess we can have this here, you know. But if you're working with the copywriter in conjunction with, the web designer, you can figure out and plot out what the sitemap looks like, where the pages go, what the goal of each page is. And doing it that way is the best way to really kind of construct from the ground up something that could be really amazing for you.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Love it. Now, what's second on our list? I believe these, what used to be Google.
Yes. Formerly Google My Business, now Google Business Profile.
It sounds more professional.
It does. It does. People always say, well, I already have Google My Business. I'm like, no, you have the same thing. It is the same thing. It has not changed very much at all, just the name. So when we talk about this, filling out this profile, it seems simple enough. And most people have it already done, right? But they may have done it a long time ago. And now Google requires that you verify your business. So there may be, I think when you set it up, I think they're still doing this. It's been a while since I've done one for someone. But if you fill out that the initial form, they're going to send you a postcard with a code on it in the mail. Old fashioned.
Seriously.
Yeah. Right. As a security measure. And they're going to, once you put that in, all right, so then you're off to the races. And now you have what is essentially another site for your business that can look a lot like what you've already got. So you can put blog posts on there. You can take photos and put them up there, videos, lots of stuff that you can do. And it's just another way of kind of charging up your search engine. And so filling that out and making sure that you're regularly, just like you're taking care of your website and your social media, you're going to take care of your Google Business Profile page as well. Attached to that are things like reviews, where you can ask people to review your business. If you've got, here's a good rule of thumb, by the way. If you're in a non-super competitive business, like if you're a real estate agent, you want probably 20 to 25 Google reviews before you're going to get some traction. If you're in a lesser business, like let's say you're a copywriter, a copywriter can probably get away with 5 good Google reviews.
Gotcha.
But what's important is to consistently do them. You don't want to, like, if you're that real estate agent, you know how real estate agents are, I got to get those reviews. So they will get them in and they'll slam in 25 of them from people that they know and never touch it again. Better to do 5 one week, 5 another week, so it looks like it's a building thing that's happening and not just like,
it looks more organic versus
right. And you don't want to make it look like you just got a bunch of fake reviews.
Yeah.
Right. So all of those things go into this second tier of your website. Really, your Google Business Profile is so attached to what your website is that it's really almost like a mirror site.
Gotcha. So we've got our Google, we've got our website. Yeah. Now we've got to turn to social media. And I love how you say pick one.
Pick one.
I do get asked often by people, Tiffanie, what is the best social media platform? And I have an answer, but it'll be interesting to see your thought.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, the best social media platform is either where A, your ideal clients are hanging out, or B, your top referral sources are hanging out.
Sure.
You can find a social media platform that has both, golden. But it does vary by profession. And so I think there's no right platform per se, but finding the ones where your clients and or referral sources are at are pretty important.
So you and I agree then on that. I just say it a little bit differently, and I don't care which one you use. Just use the one that you're going to use the most, and the one that they're going to use the most are the ones where their clients are already there.
Yeah,
that's why so many people, because they've been on Facebook for so many years, say let's start with Facebook, and that's fine. But there are others who, like, I think that's more of like a Gen X boomer kind of thing. And, Gen Z clients, millennials, they're like, you know what, let's do Instagram or let's do something else. And, Twitter is having this new X thing going on. And now people are like, well, they're kind of interested in Twitter again now. And as we mentioned earlier, Instagram now has their Threads, which is like a Twitter clone. So there's lots of different ways to go about it. To me, I think, if you're not sure which way to go, I always say start with LinkedIn. Because LinkedIn is where the professionals hang out, and people who are on LinkedIn are either promoting their business or looking for business or looking to hire somebody, right? So LinkedIn is great. But maybe it's not for you. Maybe you have a really visual business. I have a new client who has like a wine incentive programs um, business where they deliver
Mhm.
wine to top performers in business. Kind of cool. Um, and they're like all in on Instagram because they want the photos of the wine,
Yeah.
and I don't blame them. It's a great, smart way to go. So I think you have to look at your business and choose wisely. But in the end, as long as you're doing one and doing it steadily, consistently, then you've got a shot at getting some business.
So I know it varies by platform.
Mm.
Twitter or X is like multiple posts, lots and lots of times. Facebook's kind of in the middle.
Mm.
LinkedIn's a little bit less.
Yeah.
Any tips on, because I'm assuming, just like you mentioned earlier, that consistency is a key. Like if I'm posting once a month, like really,
Yeah.
what good does that do to me? So any tips or thoughts on having the content and posting consistently?
Yeah. I think that having a content plan, a
Mm,
calendar in advance is the smartest way to go. Because if you every day have to open up your LinkedIn or your Twitter or whatever and say, what am I going to post today? You're not going to have as much success and you're going to get frustrated and you're going to say, I can't do this anymore. As opposed to really mapping out what you want to talk about. And it's a lot easier when you do it that way. It's kind of like in BNI when you say, well, what am I going to talk
mm,
about this month, rather than saying from week to week, I'm going to do, all right, so the next 4 weeks, I'm going to talk about this one topic. Especially good for people who have hard to explain businesses like IT and those kinds of things that people. So highly recommend that. And I think that the best way to do it is just to sit down, get a little calendar, set up something in Excel or just write it out and get your topics in place and what you want to talk about. And then gather photos, take videos all in advance. Block off 2 or 3 hours of time, and you can do a whole month's worth of topic ideas.
Yeah, one thing I used to do is I would have a theme like Monday, motivational Monday,
Yeah.
Tiffany Tuesday, wacky Wednesday, trainer tip Thursday,
Mhm.
fun Friday,
Yeah.
sock Saturday, and spotlight Sunday.
There you go.
Most people probably won't have a sock Saturday, but for me, it was even easier because I had like a theme each day.
Yeah.
And then I can easily go in and say, okay, I need 4 funny things. I need 4 sock things. And then it just, and I think sometimes people probably think it's too much and too big. And systems or simplification can make a massive difference.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes you have no choice but to take it on yourself. Your brand new business, or maybe your business took a hit during the pandemic and you're kind of ramping up again, whatever it was. I think if you're starting on a super low budget and you have to take on everything yourself, don't drive yourself crazy by doing everything like that. Like every day is like a new way. I have to think of something today. And, it kind of wears you down after a while.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, because we talked a little bit about AI earlier,
Mm,
and you and I like AI.
do.
So what are your thoughts on, I'm just going to go to Chat GPT and say, please give me 30 days worth of LinkedIn posts
Yeah.
for this business.
Right.
What are your thoughts on, should people do that or not?
So one of the things that can be a concern with ChatGPT is you're going to be asking questions of ChatGPT, and it doesn't know you and it doesn't know your business. And so you're probably going to get some pretty generic
Mm,
responses that don't have the essence of what your business is. It doesn't speak to your clients unless you go into a deep dive and prompt the heck out of ChatGPT and say, this is what my business looks like. Here's my ideal client, all that stuff. You can come up with some pretty good short social media posts. What my bigger concern would be to write blog posts, and that is
mm,
the temptation because they're longer. So
mhm.
why don't we just say, hey, ChatGPT, write about my, salon or accounting business or whatever. Give me, a blog, and it's going to do it for you. And it may have good information on it, but there's two things that you have to look at with ChatGPT. One is, does it sound like you, and does it sound like your business? Does it speak to your customer? And
Mhm.
the other thing is, and this is, common with most AI, does it sound too flat? Will people stop reading? just because it looks like and you know, if you don't, the less you prompt ChatGPT, the more it sounds like a Wikipedia page. It's just going to start
Yeah.
spewing
Yeah.
facts. The problem with the facts is they don't verify anything. And then when you ask ChatGPT, JPT, where'd that come from?
Hey,
ChatGPT,
CEO,
I know,
SEO.
right?
No, it's too
But
late in the afternoon, apparently, for letters.
seriously, but when you ask, it's going to, you know, say, I don't know, I'm just a language model. This is the information I'm giving to you. It's kind of like a one-way street.
Yeah.
And so you really have to make sure, if you're in a medical business, things like that, where facts are super important, make sure that you're verifying them.
So as a copywriter, if you're helping, like, do you help people write blog posts, and what does that, like, how does the verification process work for you? How do you put it in their voice? What is that like?
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite things to do, is to learn a business's voice. I had a great project, man, it must have been about 8 years ago. First really big project, and it was for a company that was kind of like, it was do you know Drupal? Have you heard of Drupal? It's kind of it's like WordPress, but it kind of works differently.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's similar.
Okay.
Similar. And so they had this big office, you know, in Boston, and I came in and they said, we need to rewrite our website. But it's been written for years by different department heads. And so
Oof.
the engineers who wrote very short, you know, copy, and the marketing department wrote really long copy, and nothing sounded like anyone. And so I got to go in there and I asked to kind of just observe the company. And so what I learned was watching and talking to the people who answer the phones, the executives in the company, the workers, the part-timers, the full-timers, and kind of get a good, clear idea of what the attitude was, the approach. You know, is it light and professional? Is it buttoned down, serious? And then when you get that, that's the tone that needs to come on your website, because there is a disconnect that happens if you read something like, oh, this is really appealing to me, and then you call them and it's a very serious, you know, kind of a thing that's different from the lighter copy that you read. That doesn't work. And that kind of, whether people realize it or not, is going to turn them off a little bit.
Yeah, because it's that, and even, I don't know that people always even consciously make the decision that, oh, there's an incongruency. And so that's that awkwardness that I feel. I think most people probably don't realize that consciously, but subconsciously it's like, oh yeah, I was expecting, hey, how's it going? And you got, hello.
Yes. That's why the tone of the copy has got to match what they're going to get on the other side of the phone. And it's okay if you're serious all the time, because there are people who like that and look for that, and they're going to resonate with that copy that's written that certain way.
Yeah. So that sounds like it's a pretty involved, intense process that you did with that company.
Yeah.
Are most of your projects at that scale, or are there some things that you do bigger and smaller?
Yeah. They're all different sizes. They're all kind of fun and worthwhile. And for me, you know, I like meeting new business owners or people who are moving from, you know, one level to the next, and they want to scale up, and they need, you know, a different tone, a different approach. So it's fun to kind of tweak the language a little bit, which kind of motivates the staff, I'm told by my clients. Like, you know, we sound like this now, so we have to kind of raise our game. Like, that's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
Very cool. So I know we kind of went on a little tangent for ChatGPT. Or any AI. One other thing I wanted to ask, because I know we talked about the disservice that we're doing if we just let Chat AI create our blog post. But did I hear correctly that Google is penalizing what it can tell is AI created?
So here's the problem with that, is that Google has their own version called Bard, and you can go to bard.google.com and check it out. It's pretty much ChatGPT. So I don't know if there's an ethical, you know, concern here if one AI is preferred over the other, but Google owns it. So I suppose they could get away with it, but that sounds like a class action lawsuit waiting to happen.
I'm not sure. You know, you hear things.
Yeah, I haven't heard of that definitively, but I have heard rumblings. And people say, do you think Google can detect whether it's ChatGPT or Bard? I'm like, absolutely. They know.
Well, it's interesting because I've got somebody that I follow actively on LinkedIn, And over the past few months, I'm like, all they're doing now is AI generated. I'm like, you can just
tell.
feel it.
Yeah.
Like I did this weekend, I was doing a project and I loaded 6 hours worth of transcripts from programs that I had done to try and teach it. Here's my language.
Yeah.
Now it's better than it was, but it's still not me.
Right.
And that's with, I don't know how many 6 hours of content would be. It was a lot of content.
Yeah.
And it's still not capturing me, even with that.
Well, you know what's funny? When this first came out, I think we were all so blown away by it. We were like, this is the greatest thing in the world, you know? And now that we're living with it for a while, it's like, well, you know, it could be a lot better. But the thing is, again, it's still not even a year old. So where will it be in 4 or 5 years? It could be really, really impressive. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But for now, my copywriting job is secure.
Yeah, and I think probably for a very long time. I think ChatGPT, the AI is good for assistance, but I think there's something about having a professional. Like I always laugh when I see the AI generated images. I'm like, they're not as good as if we created them ourselves. The books, they're not as good. It's not that they're not better than nothing, but yeah, I think there's something to be said about hiring somebody that can really channel you without having to be channeling from all the, you know, however much the AI got from us.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that, you know, it's still a work in progress. To me, the point of it is, you know what, you didn't know what to write about for that calendar that you're going to make. Have it shoot out some ideas for you. That is really what it excels in.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it when I'm stuck. Tom and I are working on a presentation. So Tom Fleming, who commented earlier, Steve, Tom, and I end up speaking quite a bit. It seems we're doing an event and we have the closing quote. And I'm like, I just couldn't come up with a good image for the closing quote. So I put the closing quote in and I said, suggest some slides. And I was like, 6 of the 7 sucked, but 1 was brilliant that I never would have come up with. And so it's not that it's getting me the image or it's picking the quote. It's just a little help.
Right. Absolutely. And it, you know, it's something that, you know, is part of, you know, who we are now as, you know, technology is, you know, part of what we do. To ignore it altogether, there's no point.
Yeah, there's not. It's the same people that said the internet and the search engines and Facebook or MySpace were never going to be. Welcome to the next iteration of it.
Yeah, just have to kind of accept it for what it is. It's not perfect, but it can really help you out.
Well, Steve, so we've talked today 3 smartest things in our business. We want to, number 1, have that organically optimized website. Put that fresh content of blogs and those links in there. We want to make sure we have our Google business profile set up and ready to go. And even if you have your profile, if you're like, Tiffanie, I got all this stuff. When's the last time that you've got a review? Is it time to let's maybe get 2 or 3? And I'm notoriously bad, like on LinkedIn. I'll ask for reviews for like a week and then I'll get another 5 or 10. And then it's like 6 months. And I'm like, I got to be better at spreading them out. So we've got, sorry?
Yeah, it's super important. There's one thing that you can do as a test to see if you've got a profile is to just say, put your profession in there. So I would write like copywriters near me.
Yeah.
And there's a section, you know, after a few search things come up that shows local businesses there. And if you're not in there, it's time to optimize your profile.
Gotcha. Love it. And then lastly, the third way is we want to pick the social media. The right social media for us to be there and be active and consistent, though that may vary. Anything else you want to add to this conversation, Steve?
Like a bonus thing to do? You know, one thing that I would suggest is to, if you want to promote your business, is to sign up for as many local business directories that you can find as possible. They're going to link to your website. You know, if you're in the chamber, make sure that you're listed in the chamber properly. On your BNI profile, make sure your website's listed there. Super, super important. And backlinks, that's one last thing that I'll add. I wasn't going to get into this because it's a whole big to-do. But a backlink is just a link from a good, strong website to your own site. So if you're on the BNI.com website, which is an enormous website, having your link to your website from there to your site is a big deal. Anytime a larger site links to you. That's going to be extra Google juice for you to move your way up the search engine rankings.
Love it. Love it. Thanks for that extra bonus tip there.
Yeah.
Get it many on as you can.
Yeah.
So I know LinkedIn is where you hang out and do quite a bit, Steve. So I hope it's okay that I shamelessly encourage people here that are watching to go to LinkedIn.
Yes, please.
Steve Tannuzzo, you can connect with him. You can chat with him. And I will say he's got a website. It's not up yet. Couple of days.
Monday.
Yay. We should have had a party for like the website is launched. Are you having a party?
Well, I'm going to do a little virtual launch. Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So you got till the first Monday or the last Monday in August in 2023. So if you're watching this September on, you're good to go.
Come visit me, Tannuzzo.com.
If you're watching it in the next few days, come back on Monday.
Yeah. In the meantime, LinkedIn is great.
Brilliant. So go check them out. Steve, I want to say thank you so much for coming on out and talking to us about these 3 ways to market, to grow your business. And I love the fact that it's super simple. 1, 2, 3.
That's it.
Thank you so much. And we'll look forward to seeing y'all soon.
All right. Thanks, everybody.